Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and guys, this is our Lucha Underground review. And I gotta say, I was thoroughly entertained by this episode of Lucha Underground. A lot of plot threads progressed, a lot of characters grew, just all around an excellent hour of wrestling. Ashton, what'd you think of it?
Absolutely. This was some great stuff. Before we move on, though, I do want to say I want to apologize to everybody who likes listening to these reviews. We were planning on doing it. The original plan was to do it every Wednesday at 9 o'clock as soon as the show is over, have it uploaded by 10. And then last night we could not find a way to watch this show. So I do want to apologize for it being so late, but my philosophy is if you can't do it as early as possible, it's always better to be late than to just not upload it at all. So I guess it's just a wordier version of better late than never. But still, I feel terrible for not having this up earlier, but I still feel like it's worth getting up, even if it is a lot later than normal.
Absolutely, guys. So we do apologize for being a bit late with it, but here it is, our Lucha Underground review. Ashton, you said you really enjoyed this episode this week. I just think Lucha Underground continues to build and build week after week. This is another phenomenal episode. So with that said, I guess we'll get right into the first segment. Heat of the night!
Oh, please, you know I don't have any.
And I don't have any either. So with that said, we can get right into our Lucha Underground review. And we have a cinematic opening between Konnan and Cueto. So interesting stuff here.
Yeah. Konnan obviously angry about last week. He tells Cueto that he prevented Puma from coming in here because if it would have been him, I don't know if Cueto would have made it out alive. And he basically says that he wants a match between Rick and Puma, but he doesn't just want a wrestling match. He wants a street fight.
Yeah, a Boyle's Heights street fight. Cueto agrees. He tries to distance himself. He says, hey, Cisco Cortez, they're going to do what they want. I really have no affiliation. And as he's about to take his drink, Konnan pretty much lays down the rules to him. And he says, on second thought, I will take that drink. And he takes Cueto's drink from him, and he drinks it like a boss. I've really been digging Konan's character on this show.
Yeah.
He definitely is a heel, but he's not so outwardly heelish where he's like, oh, look at me, I'm dastardly. He's a guy representing somebody like a Paul Heyman would, and he's trying to do right by his client. So I like it. This is a fun cinematic open here. I really enjoy these.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really good stuff. It's one of those things where every single week they come out with these really well-produced backstage segments, and it never ceases to amaze me how much more into this style of backstage segment I find myself being able to get, as opposed to the WWE, the TNA, the ROH, the typical wrestling style promos. I think this is such a big improvement, and honestly, even though it seems like the production value is higher, I can't imagine it costs that much more for these guys to make this kind of a vignette or a backstage segment than it would to make your typical wrestling style backstage vignette or segment.
I'd have to agree with you there, and I'm also with you about the preferences, because I just love the cinematic undertones to it.
Yeah, and you know what, dude? It all comes down to Robert Rodriguez, because this is like a pet project for him, and his style runs through this from the very beginning. Like, you can just tell, even if you didn't know. Like, I think I even did do this. In the first episode, I didn't know that he was an executive producer on the show, and I said, holy crap, these vignettes feel like something out of a Grindhouse film, and Grindhouse is a Robert Rodriguez film. So yeah, it's easy to connect the dots, and you can really tell, and it just comes through so well.
Absolutely. So really enjoyed this. And then after this, we get our first match of the night, Ashton.
Oh, yeah. And our first match of the night is Mil Muertes versus Drago. And, dude, I just want to say, aside from the big two, which both ended up participating in tonight's main event, I think Drago might be our most over babyface.
I would certainly agree with that. I think he has a very wide appeal with the Lucha Underground audience. You and I both agree he is cool as hell. I love his look. I think he has one of the most unique looks in the locker room.
Well, and even if he didn't have one of the most unique looks, the tongue kind of separates him.
Yeah, certainly. And, you know, what I really loved about this match is they were clearly going for a contrast, right? Like this big, powerful guy against the more agile.
Well, yeah, and they weren't
babyface.
afraid to point it out either. Like, there were multiple moments during this match where Matt Stryker said something about how Mil Muertes had the power advantage and Drago has the speed advantage.
Right. And what I love, though, is that it's not, I mean, that's just the biggest contrast between these guys. Because normally if you see a match like this in WWE, it would be like a Mark Henry versus Rey Mysterio type thing.
Right.
And it kind of sucks you out in other elements. What I love about matches like this, and another match that we got later in the night, they make these genuinely competitive on both ends, where it's not like trying to tug at my heartstrings necessarily, telling a story of, oh, look at David trying to overcome Goliath. No, it's good wrestling all around.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Absolutely. Well, and it does help that these two guys are at least relatively similar, at least in height.
Right.
Because, like, when you talk about Rey Mysterio versus Mark Henry, that's like a 6'3", 400-pound giant son of a gun going against this little 5'6", under 200-pound borderline vanilla midget. And the height difference here is maybe 2 inches, as opposed to like the near foot that separates guys like Mysterio from the rest of that pack. And it's believable because of the fact that even commentary was pointing out one of these guys is strong, one of these guys is fast, but it's not like either one of them is completely lacking in the other category. Like Mil Muertes might be really, really strong, but he's not exactly this big plotting 400, 500-pound slowpoke. And Drago might be really fast, but it's not like he's some kind of weakling.
Absolutely not. I mean, Drago got an impressive-looking corkscrew cross body in this match that I really loved. I mean, the form was beautiful. Yeah. Mil Muertes, though, was not to be denied. Drago tried coming off the top rope at one point. He intercepts Drago with a spear, follows it up with a flatliner, and I think this now makes Mil Muertes, and the only reason I'm starting this is because commentary even mentioned he's undefeated. I think this makes Mil Muertes 3-0 right now. And I'm telling you, I think whenever the world title gets introduced and how they introduce it, our 4 top contenders are Mundo, Puma, Big Rick, to your point, and Mil Muertes has got to be in there. They are going out of their way to make this guy a force right now.
Well, and you know what, though? I think that, though just the momentum and the way the storylines are going, I think Chavo Guerrero Jr. might end up being in that conversation by the time it comes, too.
Absolutely. That's why it's going to be so exciting when they finally do make that introduction, because I think you really can't discount many guys in that upper crust. I think all of them have their own viable case for winning it. It's going to be a very exciting time. But getting back to this match, Muertes puts his stamp on it, man. Spear, flatliner, 3 count. And as I've said, Mil Muertes, I think, is another great character in this whole product. I mean, the mythos they've built around him and his presence and everything else, just great packaging all around.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see him really come into his own and get those big-time feuds. So,
absolutely. All right, so up next, well, actually, you know what? Not up next. Let's talk about what was going on during this match that wasn't involving the 2 men in the ring. King Cuerno was watching from about the midway point. He was on the balcony watching this match, and they did a great job of selling it as the Predator stalking his prey.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the visual of King Cuerno just perched up high, just like skulking out and just saying when's going to be the time to strike. And then when he takes it, I think it's just really well done.
Yeah, it was really good stuff. And like you said, he does end up taking that opportunity to strike. After the match is over, he kind of crawls and stealthily sneaks his way to the ring, and he kind of creeps up on Drago and hits a really nice Michinoku driver on Drago.
Yeah, it was beautiful. He does it right in the center of the ring, which apparently was supposed to have some kind of symbolism about, claiming the temple or whatever. And I love how he just leaves it at that. Like he doesn't allow his beatdown to go into excess, which could pull people out. No, it's the one maneuver, slithers back out, and he leaves. So I really liked it. I'm very interested in Cuerno and Drago having a rematch.
Absolutely. It's going to be good stuff. But up next, now we can actually move on. We got a Johnny Mundo vignette, and I really like the angle that they're going with this. I didn't write down everything that he said. I didn't memorize the entire vignette, but I do have one line, and it's the line that hit me the hardest. And I quote, "I ascended to the edge of greatness until politics got in the way. I refused to kiss ass and play their game." I freaking loved that line, dude.
I'm telling you, dude, two things I want to point out here. A, for me, everybody who's been listening to our podcast for the longest time now knows I am a John Morsmark, now Johnny Mundo. So I feel like a kid again a little bit, like watching him. I don't really watch that really highly objective analytical lens. Like when he's on, like it's just pure fandom and nothing but. And to your point, I freaking love this too. And I love that line, but my personal favorite was the closing tagline because I marked and I was kind of doing my own personal live reactions and I'm like, yeah, go get it, is when he said, I'm not going to ascend, the edge of greatness this time. I'm going to, cross that threshold. And it was just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Really, really excited what's going to go from here, especially what he did at the end of the night, which we'll get to. It's just so great to see him a part of a product again. I've been saying that consistently these past few weeks, but knowing how seriously they're taking him, like he's not jerking the curtain. He's in the main program. He's in the main mix, and I love it. It's just so amazing.
Yeah, it's great to see him getting the kind of spotlight that I think you and I both really have felt he deserved for so long.
Definitely. And you know what? Like, again, as you said, I felt like this is a great video package. I don't know how many times he had to run through it or this and that, but the content of it, there weren't any, like, punny lines, peanut butter and Johnny or things like that. No, it was a serious, straightforward thing. He wanted to be great. Politics got in the way, which, like you said, that was a great jab. And then he's like, no, I'm where I should be, and this time things are going to be different, and I really hope he's right because I have a lot of markouts to give. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. All right. So now we can move on here. We got a backstage segment. It was Mil Muertes, Katrina, and Dario Cueto. And Katrina tells Cueto that Mil Muertes learned long ago that you can't keep darkness locked away forever. And she's grabbing at a key on a necklace around Dario's neck. And this really kind of makes me wonder, what exactly are they hiding away from us now?
I love how even the management, I think, has layers, apparently, and not just that evil archetype of, oh, I'm villainous because I'm in power and I'm using that power to suppress you or whatever. No, even Cueto's got his own story. I love how everybody's got a freaking story. Like, I don't know, it's just so appealing to me.
That's the name of the game, man. It's pro wrestling. It's a storytelling kind of business.
Well, it is, right? And I think whether you're really familiar with that fact or not, I think Lucha Underground really brings it home for you regardless. Yeah. Because it really has for me, and I've been watching this for over 10 years.
Yeah.
I think Cueto has much darker elements to his character that we are going to see. I mean, how did he come into this position? What does he hope to do with it? Like, it makes you ask questions, apparently when people are like, you can't hide it forever. Dude, I just love it. I really do. It's great.
It's great. It really is great. It's dark, but at the same time, it makes you want more.
Exactly.
All right, so up next we had Son of Havoc with Ivelisse versus Mascarita Sagrada, who is apparently back after 2 weeks ago receiving a pretty ugly beatdown from Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, I love that they gave him that time to recuperate and come back, and this is the other match that I was referring to, where it's like, again, with WWE, they'll put Hornswoggle in with guys like Heath Slater or El Torito, the same way, and it's like, I get sucked out because I know they're going for the comedic effect. Lucha Underground's not going for the comedic effect. They want to give you a legitimate contest. And yeah, I had fun with this. I thought this was really, really good stuff. Mascarita's growing on me, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he is, there's a degree of believability to it because of the way commentary builds him up. Like, everything that he's doing in the ring isn't really that much different than what, say, an El Torito can do in the ring on WWE. But because of the fact that commentary makes it seem like this dude is a legit competitor, you can't underestimate him just because he's a small person. He is taken seriously, and he's easy to take seriously because of the fact that he's booked well, and commentary treats him as something that you need to take seriously. And we really open up with a flurry of offense from Sagrada. He hits a Hurricane Rana, a couple arm drags. At one point, Havoc went for a choke slam, and Sagrada reversed into a pinning combination. And it was really cool. But at one point, Ivelisse, man, she gets involved. She trips Sagrada up when he was going to run the ropes. And that created the opening that Havoc needed.
Yeah, it did. He took advantage. And but it wouldn't be long, though, before Masquerita got payback on Ivelisse. And I should mention, before it slips my mind, because this is the
Angela Fong.
Angela Fong, why the hell did you come out? Like, it's funny, because, again, when I was watching it here, because of the time difference and everything, we probably watched it at different times, I was having my own little personal live reactions, and when the match concluded, I'm like, is anybody going to touch on that woman again? Hello? I have questions.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I wanted more. Like, she was supposed to drink him, and I'm like, oh, man, does Masquerita, is he going to have a girlfriend? Like, is she interested in Son of Havoc? Like, what's going on? So, yeah, just even her presence and just walking away after a certain bit, that drew me in deeper. I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. And, yeah, Masquerita and Son of Havoc were able to have a legitimately good match. I like Son of Havoc's, heel tactics and this and that, and I love how the whole finish came about. He tried going for some type of maneuver. I forget what exactly it was. Masquerita catches him in pretty much a victory roll, if I'm correct, and yeah, Masquerita gets the 3 count. So
yeah, this was a solid match, and the storytelling all around was just well done. I'm definitely curious as to what exactly. First of all, if they're going to change Angela Fong's name to something else. Obviously, it's not going to be Savannah. That's a WWE thing. But I'm curious as to if they're going to keep her name, if it's just going to be Angela Fong, or if they're going to give her a Lucha Underground name, or what's going on there, and more importantly, what her motivation is.
Absolutely, man. I hope we find all that out in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. So we did kind of establish that Sagrada ended up winning, right?
Yes.
Okay. Up next, we had Sexy Star versus Chavo. This match did not last long whatsoever. Sexy Star pretty quickly got fed up with the match and went out to grab a chair. She wanted revenge. Revenge was on her mind more than winning and losing. And she cared so little about winning that she actually just straight up got herself disqualified regardless of the chair by kicking the ref in the balls.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, Sexy Star is slowly but surely, like, really growing on me, and I love how they're using her. My big gripe, and you've already addressed this, so I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too deep, is again the commentary. Because I was watching this segment, right? And I'm thinking, I love how she's in this program where she's taking care of her own business, where she's not really the person or the object or however you want to phrase it to be rescued, but she's independent and she's asserting her own will and she's getting business done. I find that very refreshing.
Yeah.
But and here's the thing, I find it so refreshing, and I love the style of Lucha Underground, how this is a temple where anybody can enter the fray, that I think with the way that Sexy Star is booked and the philosophy that they want to project to everybody at home, like, oh, this is a temple, this is as close to Fight Club and pro wrestling come together as you're ever going to get, I could legitimately buy Sexy Star, even if it was a one-off, competing for the world title against the champion and doing that kind of thing. The problem, and I hope we get there, I really do, because I would like to see it, and I'm being dead serious, but the problem is I think commentary, even without meaning to, would demean her taking care of business by saying, oh, how wonderful it is that a woman's doing it, or oh, how dastardly that guy is for delivering that forearm to a woman. She knows what she's getting into.
Yeah.
We say woman and man, but we never take the time to really acknowledge, well, they're fully grown women and men with the agency and the autonomy to make their own decisions. You don't think Sexy Star anticipated eating a forearm to the face? Or the fact that the opponent she's with is dangerous. Like, I want to see her get to that point where she could be that headliner and you and I are excitedly talking about it. Because WWE divas all the time say, oh, well, I would really love to close a pay-per-view. And I'm sorry, like, I think that's admirable, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. with Lucha Underground, I could believe it, Sexy Star and whoever the world champion is closing for that goal, but commentary has got to get on board. So I just wanted to point that out very quickly.
Yep.
And yeah, dude, the match does not last long at all. And I love how it finished because you know what? It's okay sometimes for a babyface to put a winning, or to put a vendetta over winning just one match.
Yep.
And for Sexy Star, it was about the vendetta. Kicks that ref right in the yam bags.
Wow, pulling out a Taz term.
You know what? I know a lot of people hate on Taz. I loved his SmackDown stuff and some of his TNA stuff. You can't beat Taz. So yeah, right in the yam bags. He goes down. She's got the chair. Then Pentagon Jr., he comes out, and at first he seems conflicted, but then he's like, yeah, I'm going to clock Sexy Star with this chair. And then Phoenix comes out, and I think we've got ourselves a nice little program in the mix here.
Yeah, I hope we get this tag match next week.
I think we will, dude. I think we will. Phoenix disarms Pentagon Jr. with a springboard kick to the face with the steel chair. I think Chavo I think did eat some offense. That's right. I think he ate a tandem Hurricane Rana because Phoenix launched Sexy Star into Chavo, and that was a great combination maneuver. Yeah. And yeah, they sent both of them scurrying. Vampiro's just like, why would Pentagon Jr. team up with Chavo Guerrero? Gee, Vampiro, maybe because he's heel, but maybe we'll find more in-depth motivations next week.
Well, I mean, being heel can only take you so far. You've got to have some kind of ulterior motive.
And you know what? I will give Vampiro this much credit. I think he's only posing that question because they've really built up the fact that I think Mexico is slowly but surely turning against Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Conan said to him, you know, you better watch your bag, make yourself scarce like a comprehensive immigration bill. Sorry, that still gets me. And yeah, maybe it's just Vampiro saying, hey, Pentagon, are you sure you're picking the right horse? So I like that. Maybe that'll even become a plot thread later on. Like, who exactly is going to embody Mexico? Who exactly really is going to gun for Chavo Guerrero? And ultimately, I think the return of Blue Demon Jr., but maybe other people in the meantime. Who knows? So
yeah. Man, Chavo is just racking up that hit list, isn't he?
Yeah, man. People hate him.
They really, really do. All right. Up next, we got our main event of the evening, the Boyle Heights street fight between Big Rick and Prince Puma. But of course, Big Rick isn't by himself. Mr. Cisco and Cortez Castro are along his side.
You know what? I'm so glad I got to see Big Rick compete for a second consecutive week, so I could really digest it, and I don't think it's hyperbolic to say this, at least for me. I think they're utilizing Rick better than WWE did. I think they get it. I think they get what they've got here, because this is the second straight week. I enjoyed what he did, and I didn't think that would happen. I thought this was a very fun main event. Great use of the stipulation with the weapons they got in play. I think Puma makes for an excellent babyface. You know, I mean, I have my own theories about where he may go, but if they really want to keep him in that babyface trajectory and make him that hot commodity, I wouldn't blame him. I think the crowd just really loves him and eats up what he does. But, I mean, let's give credit to Big Rick here. The guy really knows how to play up this character and is a great heel on the product.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things, Ash, and I was curious what you thought of it, was the moment where, you know, he's firmly in control. You know, he's imposing his will on Puma. You know, he's driven his knee into his face, and he's just done all the power offense. But then he gets a steel chair, and he just sits in it and basks in the glow of Cisco and Cortez taking care of Big Rick's business. I loved it.
That was a great moment, dude. And you know what? There was another moment even before then. At one point, Rick, I mean, to open the match, Rick was really dominant for a while. And then Puma got a little offense in, and then Rick was back on top. But at one point, Puma ended up hitting a suicide dive to the outside. And I guess that's what caused it. But we saw color in this match. Cortez was busted open, man.
Yeah, he was. He was gushing right out, and I was surprised to see it, I guess, because, you know, our ultimate exposure is the WWE product, and color really doesn't happen that much nowadays unless it's completely by accident. And, yeah, they own this, they embrace this, and that was crazy. And, yeah, Big Rick is just sitting there while Cortez and Cisco are just putting the boots to Puma. And then Puma, you know, does start to fight back. he does start to even the odds. And I love how he looks at Big Rick, runs into the corner. Big Rick makes his oh shit face, and he gets drop kicked in the corner where he's wedged between the weapons and the turnbuckle, and it's just great stuff. And right though, when you think that Puma's going to turn the tide, he does a kendo stick to Cisco. Cortez does it to Rick. Rick not only eats it, he grabs the cane, pulls Puma into him, and scores a vicious right hand.
Yeah, that was a great moment for Rick, dude. That was just brilliant stuff, man. I mean, first of all, the no-selling of the first kendo stick shot, and I wouldn't even say he completely no-sold it, because you could tell that at first it stung at least, but then he just got pissed. And it was like, okay, you're gonna try and win with that, really? You might as well be trying to hit me with a switch at this point, kid.
Exactly. And then when he just leveled him like that, I'm telling you, he's never going to be in those 15 to 25 minute clinics, but he doesn't need to be, because when you put him in bursts like this where he can go out and be an animal and dominate and destroy, it's fun. It's fun to watch the baby faces overcome. And then when he lays Puma out, lays him up on the ladder, he gets his legs all wrapped in there, in the corner. And it looks like they're going to cane the living crap out of him, because Cisco and Cortez each grab an arm and they just pull them back. And it looks like it's going to get ugly. But then, and cue me marking out like a schoolgirl, we get Johnny Mundo making perhaps one of the most epic entrances in wrestling history.
Yeah, I mean, he goes full on parkour on this, man. And it was funny because he was on the balcony, and I was like, okay, what is he doing? And then he starts to back up, and I was like, okay, so he's going to jump, and he's going to do like a suicide dive or a crossbody onto Big Rick. And he jumps, and he lands on the mat, and I'm just like, what? And then he rolls through, and I'm like, oh, that's right, parkour.
yeah, dude, I was thinking the same thing as you. Was like, oh my god, is he going to do a dive onto Big Rick? And admittedly, while I would have preferred that, what he did was still cool as shit, alright? Yeah. I'm losing myself over here. I'm like, oh my god, playing field just got level. So again, in total fan mode here. Takes out Cisco, takes out Cortez, looks like he's taking out Big Rick. I'm like, yeah, get that comeuppance. And I'm like, Rick, you owe us our goddamn money. Where's our 10,000? And then Mundo gets the chair, and I'm like, yeah, take his block off. Like, I'm saying this, I know nobody can hear me. I'm certifiably insane. And he goes for the swing. I'm like, yeah! And then he hits Puma, and I'm like, oh, storylines, why? And then Rick lays him out, and I'm like, God damn it. And they throw him out of the ring. Then they do the book of Rick, I guess I'll call it, because I don't really know what they're calling it.
It's a Uranagi.
Well, whatever the case may be. Uranagi, Book of Rick, same freaking thing. Put him to the table, get the 3 count, to which I sign once again, say, damn it, and gets the pin. And then, it didn't really help the Vampiro chose to just put salt in my wound. Oh, Mundo cost Puma this match. Shut the hell up, Vampiro. Accidents happen. We'll work this out in a week.
Well, I mean, it's totally true. And that whole, we're going to work this out in a week thing never actually happens.
Don't take my dreams away.
By the way, you know what? I did want to say, before we finish talking about this match, there was one spot that I really wanted to talk about. It was while Rick was sitting on the steel chair and Cortez and Cisco were beating the crap out of Puma. At one point, they were going for, I think it was like a back body drop or a flapjack or something like that, and Puma flipped through it, and then he kicked one of them in the gut and grabbed him for a DDT, and then he ducked the punch of the other one, and ended up hitting a combo DDT inverted STO on the two of them.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that when I mentioned the drop kick in the corner. It was preceded by that maneuver, so good catch, because, yeah, that was beautiful looking.
Yeah.
And you know what? This whole ending, because I think on the second episode, because that's when we started the Lucha Underground reviews, we had talked about how a world champion was going to be crowned, how it was all going to unfold, and I said that I felt like it was going to come down to Mundo and Prince Puma, and Puma was going to turn heel to win the championship. And with Conan in his ear and this miscommunication, my thoughts about Puma turning heel I've greatly exacerbated after this. Like, I'm convinced now that he's going down the heel route. Maybe not exactly in the way that I constructed in our fantasy booking session, but yeah, you've got the miscue, you've got a guy like Conan in Puma's ear who expressly told him, stay away from Johnny Mundo. He doesn't care about you. He cares about himself. It all seems like ingredients for Puma to join the dark side, so to speak.
Yeah. Like the evidence is piling up. It's going to happen eventually.
But you know what? I'm not even going to apologize. Maybe you should have ducked the chair shot, okay? So rather than turning heel, maybe you should just look in the mirror and do better next time.
Maybe you wouldn't have had to worry about ducking the chair shot if Johnny Mundo's aim was a little better.
Oh my God, all of you people bringing logic into this. I'm done with all of you. But yeah, in all seriousness, guys, I was going crazy for this closing. Just wonderful stuff. Again, it's great to see Mundo in the main mix, and that's not to take away anything from Puma or Big Rick either. Like, they went out there and they created something wonderful that I thoroughly enjoyed. Really, especially because I know you and I have been very praiseworthy of Puma, so it goes without saying, I really want to get across how well Big Rick did here in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is great in this role, man.
This is really the only role that he can succeed in.
Yeah.
And they're letting him do it. So big props to him for being able to fill this role, and big props to them for using him in the way that they are.
You know what? I'm just going to use this as my closing tagline, and then we can move on if you wish. This segment really crystallized for me why you were so confident that he may be the first world champion, because after a performance like that, now I can believe it too. Like, I'm saying, you know what? I could see it. So yeah, I totally see where you're coming from now 100%, because this is just great stuff.
Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, man, that was our main event segment of the night. We didn't really get any kind of progression after that. So if you want to move on to our next segment, let's do it. High spots
and low shots. My low shot was really easy this week. My low shot is Drago. Gets a one-on-one match with Mil Muertes, who's been on a tear, becomes the latest victim despite a valiant effort. And then after the match, it doesn't even end for him there, because King Cuerno, comes in, nails the, forward Death Valley driver, or maybe a variation of a Michinoku driver, in the center of the ring, starting the process of claiming his prey. Drago's gonna have a rough next couple weeks in Lucha Underground. I feel it. We'll see if he can persevere.
I think that my low shot is gonna be Sexy Star, because she surrendered, she gave up, she stopped trying to win for the sake of revenge, and then she still didn't get her revenge. Like, sure, Phoenix came out, but she didn't get to get her hands on Chavo the way she wanted to.
Right. And the thing is, I mean, depending on when this product really intensifies, and again, we get championships or we get those accolades or what have you, I hope they kind of do it the way that ROH does it, where wins and losses really matter. Because I feel like in their forum, being a temple and being, again, the closest marriage to Fight Club and WWE that or just pro wrestling that you're ever going to see, so then we could just really put in context, Sexy Star gave up a win that could have put her in line for something special, something greater than herself, for the sake of a personal vendetta, and she didn't even get to taste it. So I totally see where you're coming from.
Yep.
With that said, my high spot, I hate to do it, but I gotta give it to Big Rick.
Nice.
Gotta give it to Big Rick. He dominated. First of all, he legitimately won the match, unlike last week when his match with Mundo ended in a DQ.
Right.
So he pinned Puma here, because it was a street fight, no rules. And not only that, they took care of the baby faces again. The 2 weeks in a row now, the villains come out on top here, and they close the show triumphant. And with Big Rick at the helm of it, which I think says a lot. Like I said, folks, thinking about Ashton's assertions on earlier episodes that Big Rick's going to be an impact player, I think this is the episode where it really crystallized for me that, holy crap, he might be right. So, we'll see.
All right. My high spot. See, it's, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do what I kind of did on Monday, and I'm going to give an honorary high spot. But my actual high spot is Mascarita Sagrada, because he comes back from getting beat the crap out of by Chavo, and he gets a clean win over Son of Havoc.
Right.
And that's with the distraction of Ivelisse at ringside. And, is he 2-0? Did he win against Chavo, or did that match end in DQ?
I think that match ended in DQ.
Well, regardless, he won his first match back, and it was nice to see. But my honorary high spot goes to Mil Muertes because he is undefeated and he's 3-0 and he just defeated Drago, who has kind of proven himself to be a pretty legitimate performer, a pretty legitimate competition. And Mil Muertes beat him pretty easily, actually.
Yeah, it was a very decisive victory. That's what I love, too. They're not having Mil Muertes, even with legitimate competition like Drago. And yeah, I'm with you. I think we can call Drago legitimate. They're not having Mil Muertes, scrape by. They're giving him those decisive wins. I'm telling you, it comes down to those four guys, whoever's going to be the first major player. Mil Muertes, Prince Puma, Big Rick, and Mundo. And I'm just very curious how it's all going to play out. And Muertes, again, I think is one of the best characters on the show. I love the whole backstory as to why he carries that rock around. Katrina, I think, is an excellent addition. To think that she used to be Maxine in NXT and all the stuff she was doing with Derek Bateman and Johnny Curtis, and now she's doing this series thing and it works, and I dig it. So great stuff all around. Excellent choice of a high spot.
All right. Are we done?
I believe we are, yes.
Oh, man.
All right, guys, with that said, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary in Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and discuss on Tweetoff. What did you think of Lucha Underground this week? Be sure to comment on YouTube as well. And we will see you again for our NXT review, where we will see if Finn Balor can measure up to the challenge of Tyson Kidd, or if Finn Balor will end up being excellently executed. We'll see you then, guys.